It's your boy ConcertViz34, and today I'm going to step aside from talking about music. I want to talk about hockey. I want to talk about junior hockey. I want to talk about a horrible event that happened last night, April 6th, 2018. A team out of Humboldt, Saskatchewan, out in Canada, called the Humboldt Broncos, a junior hockey team, was in transit when they had an accident with a semi, and it appears that possibly 14 or so people may have passed away. This is a fluid situation, so by the time you see this video, I hope that there aren't any more people that are pronounced dead, that those that may be fighting for their life in a hospital do make it. I want to thank those first responders who may have attended to this scene, that are currently helping those recover. You guys are amazing. But this video is just going to be me sharing my beginnings in hockey and how I met this teammate who passed away. The day after his passing, when I found out, that morning after this horrible situation that happened to my teammate 12 years ago, what I experienced then, and some of the things since that day that I always try to do differently, and how I live my life, and some of the things I did with my team and with the family of that teammate. So first, I'm from Connecticut, out here in the United States. I started liking hockey around 1995, where I was 4.5, 5 years old in kindergarten. And the Whalers were here still. And flash forward, age 6.5, in April, the last Whalers game made me want to play hockey. I had loved hockey for a couple years, but going to that last Whalers game, seeing the speed up close, made me want to play hockey. And my parents couldn't do it right away. They had to figure out a way to afford hockey. It was a very expensive sport here in the United States, and I'm sure with Canada, it's probably no different. It's just a sport that, with ice time and sticks and blades and pads, sharpening skates, it's very, very time consuming, and financially it can be consuming to those who support the youth that play it. So I started hockey at age 8 and learned to skate, and then by age 10 I was doing travel hockey. But this teammate that I would eventually play with for a year in high school, he was a senior, I was a sophomore when he passed. He actually was teaching learn to skate with his father. His father was a great man and still is a great man. I won't give their names out just out of privacy for my teammate who passed, but this family, as far as my teammate who passed, him and his father and his brother, they were entwined with the youth hockey program. So I learned to skate from this teammate who passed back when I was about 8 years old and he was probably 10 or 11. So that was kind of my first run-in with that teammate, and lo and behold, years later, I finally got to play with him when he was a senior, I was a sophomore. And hockey family is unlike any other family. It was my first year ever playing with him, but even in that 1 year, it felt like at times we had played our entire hockey careers together. That's what's great. Anyone who's ever played men's league or spring league or a season with a select team or junior team that you only play 1 year with, you can play 1 year with certain guys, and it feels like you've known them forever. And that's what's great about the hockey community. But flashing forward to one of the toughest days of my life, my teammate died on April 11th, 2006, but I didn't get news until that next morning. So April 12th, 2006, I walk into school. I'm told to go immediately up to one of my assistant coach's rooms because he was a math teacher. And I'm told of some of the hardest words I've had to hear, which is that one of my teammates passed away. Outside of some family members who have passed, this was probably one of the hardest things to go through. And I've tried to make this video about 25 times at this point, and this is where I've always lost it. So I'm going to try not to lose it right now. It's a very emotional thing, even 12 years later. I don't think I'll ever fully not talk about this with emotion as long as I'm living. But I got the news. We all started just crying, just standing there frozen. It was a hard thing to take that a teammate had passed away from an automobile accident, one teammate. And I can't imagine what's going on there in Humboldt, Saskatchewan, with a considerable amount of people that have been declared that they've passed away. But it was tough. That the first 25 minutes after I heard what had happened, it was tough. And that day was tough. That year was tough. But just sitting there and you're like, no, he's going to come in. Like, this is just a joke. This is not, these words is just a bad dream. But, he didn't come in that day. He didn't graduate. He was so close to graduating. We have graduation here in the States in Connecticut in June. And he didn't have that opportunity to walk down the stage and get his diploma. It was heartbreaking for our community, but most importantly for our team, and most importantly, bigger than all that, his family. He had 2 siblings that looked up to him. They were younger, and I won't give out any names. I don't know if I said that before, but out of respect, again, I'm not going to name any names. But it was a horrible situation, and I was speechless for the first hour after I heard that. But I want to share some things that got my team through this, got me through this, got those who were close to that teammate through some of the toughest days, as far as going to a wake, going to a funeral, going to a memorial service at our school. The first thing is we shared stories, and to this day I have stories that I know I'll share with my kids. Whenever I decide to have kids, I will share these stories about that teammate. And we spent the rest of the school day, it was just like, it was all a blur, but we spent that entire day in that room. We did not go to any classes, and we just talked and we hung out there, and we were able to get food. I don't even remember eating, but somehow they got us food. But we shared stories about this teammate. We shared stories about his work ethic, how he fought through injuries, how he wasn't the fastest guy. He had a really hard slap shot, which that's all I always remember that. But he wasn't the fastest guy. He wasn't the most gifted hockey player, but he worked for every piece of ice time he got. And he was one of our top defensemen just off of hard work. And we talked about that. And I don't remember if I shared this with my team or not, but the one thing I take away from my teammate is he was a Red Sox fan, I was a Yankees fan, and we used to joke about that. He gave me a hard time because the last month of the season I got to sit next to him. And just joking about the Yankees and Red Sox, he would joke about how I was a pizza addict. I love pizza. And just the fact that he acknowledged me as a sophomore, he was a senior, I will never forget that. I only played 1 season with him, but walking down the halls that season, outside of practice over, we go to school. Whenever I saw him, he was always one of the cool kids. Had his hat to the side, and he'd always give me that head nod. And I would always awkwardly go, hey, hey, like awkwardly say hi or just be a little shy, but I'd always kind of acknowledge him too. And whenever he did that, I just remember how cool I felt for one of the seniors, one of the coolest guys on the team, to acknowledge me as a sophomore, my first year on varsity at that time. But sharing those stories will keep the memory of all the team members and personnel that may have passed away. So that's kind of my first thing, is share those stories. The next thing that I'll say is stick together as a family, hockey family, and a community. The one thing I was reaffirmed, I knew this from my first years of hockey, there's nothing like hockey family. There's nothing like people that play the sport of hockey and the dedication the parents and family friends and friends have to hockey. And the fans too, the hockey fans that traveled and watched us from our school. This was just an example of how this family got us through, we got each other through these tough days of our life. Stick together, plan events where you guys do things together. Spend time in each other's houses. and and make sure that you always are staying in touch, because people take grief differently. For me, the first day, I didn't cry at all for whatever reason. The next day I woke up and I was bawling. At the funeral, I was bawling. People take grief different ways, but we have to support each other. And get counseling if you need it. We had, I believe, a counselor that came in with our team, but don't be afraid. Hockey players are some of the toughest people I know. But getting counseling for a situation like this off the ice, it may help you to start to get everything together, to organize your thoughts, and to have a medical expert help you through a very difficult time. And the other thing I'll say is, and I knew his family, and we all grew up, but I didn't necessarily see them every day. But I remember there's times in my life I remember that I made it a point where if I saw them in the store, I saw them at a hockey game, or one of his siblings did go to my school for a semester or two, and I remember making sure that I stayed in text message communication with that sibling to make sure they were doing okay adjusting to life on campus. If they had any questions, they could come to me. Those simple things, if you know someone that's affected, one of the family's members, a brother or a sister of a team member who passed, a mother or a father, just if you see them anywhere from now until you ever see them for the last time again, just say hi no matter what. I remember being at a hockey game, a minor league hockey game here in Connecticut, and seeing my teammate's brother, and I didn't see him in a couple of years, and just going down, in the middle of the game is going on, and I'm walking down the aisle, probably blocking people's views, but I went out just to say hi. That is key in a time like this. And again, I'm not the best expert, but these are just some of the things that got me through this, and it's been hard to even make this video. I've broke down into tears probably the first 25 takes of trying to do this. So I just wanted to share some of the things that helped me. The other thing that hits close to home is my teammate would have been 30 yesterday, the day that this happened, and this Wednesday will be the 12th year anniversary. And there's just going to be times where the emotions come back out of nowhere. There's going to be times where you're going to wonder how you're going to move on. But family, hockey family, there's nothing like it, and you will get through it. The other thing that I learned is, to me now, when I don't play much hockey now. I'm 27. I do a little bit of running here and there, but I don't play organized hockey that much. Every now and then I'll get into some stick time. But from that day forward, from 2006 through the rest of my high school career, through my club hockey career in college, I never played the game of hockey the same. I gave it my all for nearly every shift. I had some bad shifts, but I played with emotion. I had emotion for my teammates. I became more of a leader when I went on to my club hockey days in Connecticut at a state school. I became someone who spoke out, because my passion for the game, my realization that one incident could change my life, could change a teammate's life, made me take this game so much more seriously for the work ethic. Not about the wins or losses. I wanted to win, and losses sucked. I hated losing. But I could endure a loss a little bit better. But if I did not give 110%, I was mad at myself. And I think that's one thing you'll realize is if you're a team member, and I broke down in tears this morning seeing what appeared to be team members just holding hands. It was just like, it encapsulates what the hockey bond is. But some of you guys, that these junior players that you may get back into hockey after you recover and have a moment to grieve, you will never play hockey the same. No matter if your talents take you to the professional level, whether you go and get a 9-to-5, whether you just play college hockey or junior hockey and that's it, you will never play the game the same. You'll never step out on the ice the same, but you will be a better person. And And one thing that I've always done is I've never forgotten that teammate. Whenever I'm on the ice, even now when I just play pond hockey or I'm at stick time, it just reminds me every time I step on is a reminder of that teammate. And I think that's what all you can do is carry on their legacy by playing hard, by trying to be a leader of whatever team you move on to or whatever, if this team continues. And hopefully the Humboldt Broncos can, at some point after they go through this grieving process and reevaluate everything, they can find a way to help keep this program running. And whether it takes a couple years, whether it's next year, whether it's next fall, hopefully they continue hockey in this community. But man, that, like I said, if you're watching this, if you're a team member, that you're a family or friend, just this video touches to the core of hockey fans across the world. And seeing that photo of the hands, it gets me every time. Like I'll see that photo years from now, and it's just it was so powerful. And that's what the hockey brotherhood's about, the hockey sisterhood's about. So I know I'm repeating myself on and on, but for those team members, if hopefully this gets to some of you guys out there, just stick together. You may not know how to move on. You may not know the right words to say, but just stick together. Just be there for one another, holding those hands, physically and metaphorically, looking out for siblings, parents, community members. My heart goes out to you guys, and this video is for you guys. If you can pass this along, if you know anyone in Humboldt, Saskatchewan, or part of the Humboldt Broncos, pass this along to them. And I just hope that this message gets to that team, and I'll be thinking of you guys out there. Be checking out on your Twitter page and seeing how you guys do. But it's your boy ConcertViz34. That's all I have for today. Thoughts and prayers to the people of Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Take care.